Welcome to Stuff You Missed in History Class, a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. Here is some behind the scenes about our Unearthed at the end of 2019, which as I'm sitting here, it just occurred to me, usually when I do these episodes, especially as we started doing them more frequently than once a year, what I have typically done is had the previous outline open just to make sure we don't accidentally talk about something we talked about last time. And I just realized I didn't do that this time. So hopefully we haven't talked about something that we talked about in October and then forgot that we talked about.
No.
Because it's a lot.
Here's what I'm saying. If this is your greatest crime, Tracy Wilson, then really, there's nothing to worry about.
So I think some folks have sort of heard the basics of how this works in terms of our Unearthed episodes. But what happens is I have a Pinterest board where all through the year, ideally on a regular basis, I look at all of these RSS feeds that I have in an RSS reader, and I have various Google alerts, like I have an exhumation Google alert and various other stuff. And so I keep track of that on this Pinterest board all year long. And then when it's time to do Unearthed, I use that to go back through all of the things, like all of the stories that I pinned over that particular time. And the Unearthed in 2019 board has 886 pins on it, which is actually less than the 2018 board, which shocked me because earlier in the year, it was pacing to way outstrip the 2018 totals. So I'm not sure if at the end of the year, as you and I traveled for tour or something, if I became more selective about what I was pinning or if there was just kind of a drop off in stories. I don't know. It's mystery.
Maybe everybody hustled to publish earlier in the year.
People had way more findings to report much earlier on, maybe. One of the things that has sort of become clearer, I mean, this is the first year that we have done Unearthed 4 times. Last year we did it twice, and earlier in the history of Holly's and my time on the show, it was just 1 2-part episode at the end of the year. But as we've been working on these, one of the things that has become really interesting to me is the patterns that will show up in what kind of things that we have to talk about. Like, we pretty much always have exhumations, shipwrecks, edibles and potables, and books and letters, and Utsi. That's pretty much every time. Most times there's also Amelia Earhart news that may or may not be completely specious.
Right.
But then some of the other patterns are just totally different every time. Like, I was surprised to have so many papers that came across my desk that were related to either the extinction of the Neanderthals or the historical roots of inequality. Like, those aren't categories that I would have immediately thought might be a thing in this particular Unearthed.
Yeah, it makes me wonder about how different things trend in academia at different times. And it makes me think almost of if you've ever seen video of a traffic, what's called sometimes a traffic shockwave, where there's not really a clear reason that traffic bunches up and then spreads back out, and it will, kind of keep happening that way over and over on kind of a non-repeating pattern. And I suspect the same thing happens in academic circles at various points in time, or some small thing that someone maybe discovers some years back, kind of the tendrils of it reach out and they become different things to different projects for several different groups at once. But those happen. I mean, we talked all the time in these Unearthed ones about the coincidences of us talking about a thing and it being mentioned later in the news, sometimes within hours of us recording. So I don't know if the universe just likes to group things or what.
There's also one thing that I kind of wish I had said in the episode, but I definitely want to take a moment to say now, is that when we're talking about things like what happened to the Neanderthals, and we wind up with 5 or 6 or however many different ideas Like, I don't want people to interpret that as meaning scientists don't know what they're talking about. Like, the way that science works is that people propose hypotheses for things, and then they go and test those hypotheses. And there's a whole process of whether their results can be replicated and whether other people come to the same conclusions, whether other people interpret their data the same way. And none of that means that the first people who were doing the research didn't know what they were doing. Like, it's all part of the process of asking questions and exploring things and eventually coming to a scientific consensus.
Yeah, which can also shift. I mean, our understanding of the world and the universe is forever evolving because we're getting better technologies, or some new piece of evidence is unearthed and comes to light that shifts the way we thought about previous evidence. Like, those are natural progressions of information for us to believe something is true and for there to even be scientific consensus. And then down the road, something else comes up and it shifts that and makes that not the consensus any longer. But it doesn't mean that the reasoning or the work getting to that consensus was unsound.
Right.
Just that we know new things now.
Yeah, we're always learning. I'm also very excited. We hope we're always learning. I'm also excited that this particular collection of unearthed stuff not only spawned episodes, because that has happened before. Like, we have had unearthed episodes that came specifically from a find that happened, like when the USS Indianapolis shipwreck was found and that kind of thing. But just because of the way our production calendar has shaped up here at the end of the year, / beginning of the year when this is actually coming out, the fact that I have 2 outlines in the works based on things that we talked about in Unearthed that will be coming out in the future, I found that to be fun. It's a fun little side effect of working on this time around.
Yay!
Yay! So I hope folks are still enjoying these little behind-the-scenes looks that we have started doing. And I said this in the episode, but I'll say it again. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, indeed. I hope whatever you wish for 2020, that it comes to fruition and you have much joy and peace.
Stuff You Missed in History Class is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.